What's going on, Arm Wrestling World? So, Knuckles Up 3 is a wrap. I've just finished commentating that with Matt Connolly, and it was awesome. It was really awesome. Some of the arm wrestling matches on there were absolutely spectacular. We're going to talk about two of them that were my favorite matches of the night. They happened to also be the matches that I was most looking forward to, and they did not disappoint. So, but look, the whole card was awesome. Head to the high5armwrestling.com and grab that pay per view. It is worth getting. The matches are really awesome across the board. But the two standout matches for me, I'm going to talk first about Mario Tembakis. Congratulations, Mario Tembakis from Australia, getting a victory over Jason Merlo. Now, this was the undercard to the main event, and Jason and Mario were going straight at each other. It was an awesome performance. Look, in the very first exchanges outside of straps, round one, Mario grabbed Jason and flash pinned him in a hook, but he went early. And then Jason returned serve, went slightly early, and flashed and opened up Mario's wrist. And so there was this big declaration right from the beginning about who was going to be the man, and you could see that it was going to go right down to the wire. Round one, they got into the straps. Mario ultimately able to force the hook and then drag through. Once it was inside, you could see that side pressure was his. But round two came along, and Mario, his wrist was gassed, his hand was gassed, and he couldn't keep his elbow down. On the front of the pad, he kept on coming off the front because Jason's top roll was so significant, and Mario just couldn't get that purchase. And despite his best efforts, Jason ended up just getting that win, technically on fouls, but look, credit to Jason. He really ultimately won that round because his top roll was too good for Mario's hand. Now, round three, it became super nervous. Mario was on thin ice. He was on two fouls. Again, coming off the front of the pad whilst trying to set the hook. He set the hook each time, but he'd do it by coming off the front of the pad. And he had to be brave, keep his elbow down. He did. He stuck it, and he curled the hook in right at the death, and then was able to work through for the victory. Now, round three, so 2-1, round four, Mario Tembakis and Jason. It was really interesting because the slip had become something that was a really interesting problem. Mario could not get to the straps. Jason sensed it, and Jason was holding onto his thumb. Mario was fouling in all sorts of ugly positions. So Mario went for the pure flop slip. Now, in flop slipping, he at first they call it as a pin. He just pins Jason Miller outside the straps, but they go back, review it. It's not a pin, and they go again and flop slip, get to the straps, and this time Mario flops from the go, loses his wrist, obviously flopping, and Jason holds up the press, returns serve with his own offense. Mario digs in and ends up coming back through the center of the table, pressing ultimately with the wrist back for the victory. Super impressed by the match. Well done, Jason, for the battle. Like I said, I would have been going for Jason against almost anyone else in the world. But Mario, man, congratulations. Massive effort. Your debut on the world big stage, up in lights, you deserve it, man. Well done. And resounding victories. Beating Jason is a big deal. And I love it. Knuckles Up announced on stage at the end that Mario will now take on Plamen Dimitrov at Knuckles Up 4. That is huge. That is huge. So well done, Mario. Great victory today. You looked the goods, brother. Well done. Too strong. Now, the match of the night, though, for me, was the one that I was looking forward to most, and it didn't disappoint, was Baek Song Yul of South Korea up against Tom Holland. Now, I've said it many times, Tom Holland's my favorite arm wrestler. He's my favorite arm wrestler for a lot of reasons. I love the dude himself. He's just such a good guy, but his resilience, his hook rotation, his ability to contain people outside of straps. I love all of the weapons that he possesses, and he's always impressed me. Seems to be able to punch way above what you think he could do. But Tom met his match today. Baek Song Yul. I mean, these guys, Baek Song Yul had to do a weight cut to get down to weight, which he did. And I believe it was, whether it was 85 kilos, 90 kilos, I'm not sure what the catch weight was, but Baek Song Yul and Tom Holland, round one, they'd agreed they're going straight into the hook. And look, Tom Holland looked real dangerous at first. He flash pinned back in the very first start, but it had gone early. I'm not sure if Beck had engaged or not. But when they started round one and went bang into the hook, Tom hit an absolute wall. Baek Song Yul's inside power is phenomenal. Like, I know how significant Tom Holland's inside power is. I felt it on the practice table. I've watched him pull. Baek Song Yul looked like a brick wall in the hook. It went nowhere, but Tom Holland surged, Tom Holland hit an absolute wall. Baek Song Yul then pulled through one, maybe two surges to get the pin. And that was a real indication of, okay, well, Tom's going to have to adjust. And look, Tom did exactly that. Tom was outstanding. He adjusted so well. He went to the top roll game. He took Baek Song Yul's wrist. Baek Song Yul, I think of him as like Todd Hudgens Mark II. I obviously, I got to face Baek Song Yul at Knuckles Up 2, and I described it then as the most painful victory I've ever had, because even with Baek Song Yul's wrist back, his side pressure was so significant that I wasn't sure my elbow was going to withstand the pressure required to transition to a press. And Tom Holland met that same problem. He took Baek Song Yul's wrist, but Baek Song Yul doesn't seem to care. When that happens, he just commits sideways, goes so hard, and is relentless. Tom did every single thing right. Regrips, climbs, pronations, his defensive top roll, the triangulation and the angle of his forearm was perfect for a defense. And he held out in that defense for so long, waiting for a moment where Baek Song Yul would retreat so he could climb and get his own shoulder behind. Tom Holland waiting. That moment never comes because Baek Song Yul's endurance and consistent side pressure just never faded. It stays like Todd Hutchins, and then the victory comes. So 2-0. Then Tom Holland gets outside a strap, flash pin on Baek Song Yul, who was, I think, expecting, he was a little casual, he wasn't expecting the flash outside of straps. He was expecting the slip. He got a slip in the end, but the referees called it a losing position slip. So 2-1. Tom Holland now back in the fight. And then round 4, this time Baek Song Yul senses the threat outside the straps and puts much more effort into his top roll, gets the slip, gets tied to Tom. And this time, Baek Song Yul curls Tom's top roll in, puts it in the hook, smiles and starts talking. And I don't know what he said. I think it was in Korean, but pins Tom Holland. The reason for me this match was the match of the night was I just know how good Tom is at the moment, especially at that weight. Watching him recently in Armed Gods, he demolished his opponent, who was a silver medalist from Europeans and at 85 kilos. And Tom, he's such a real deal. So for Baek Song Yul to do what he did to Tom at that weight, it truly impressed me. And I was so excited watching it. It was the match of the night for me before it even happened, and it was the match of the night for me afterwards. So, and then at the end of that match, they declared Baek Song Yul will be back at Knuckles Up 4, taking on Svetan Gashevsky. So how's that? Taking on the master himself of the top roll, Svetan Gashevsky, someone who has huge endurance as well. So Baek Song Yul, Svetan Gashevsky, what a match that will be. Can't wait. But look, all in all, guys, Knuckles Up 3 was a success. Yeah, I got to do some halftime commentary in that. I had a great time. But all in all, well worth the pay-per-view, guys. Go check it out, thehigh5armwrestling.com, and you will not be disappointed, I guess.